Yep, it says it
After
under
you,
started
sir.
recording. All right.
It's recording. Man, that was an ordeal. Anyway, after you.
Boomer style.
Oh, no, wait a minute. I'm the interviewer. I have to start.
Go ahead.
Okay. Dumela ntate tai abrigo. Greeting.
Gate or dagote. And to intertribal is aho.
Tagote
Hello.
aho. Oh, boy. Well, my name is Inange Kabele. Welcome, everybody, to my channel, Questioning Thoughts. Please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you like what you observe and listen to, I'm here in Austin, Texas, and I am interviewing a fellow Texan. His name is Ty Abrigo, and he lives in San Antonio, so that's what, an hour and a half drive away from me. And I have family in San Antonio as well. And Ty is a world traveler and lived abroad for what, 20, well, you were born abroad and raised abroad.
No. I was born in Texas, but raised overseas, I'd say from the age of 4 years old.
Okay. And then has been back and forth, and then did a 20-year stint overseas and came back and was shocked by how much the United States has changed.
Woo!
And
Man,
made
that's an understatement.
amazing video that I'm going to share on my channel, but I listened to it and I called him back immediately and I was like, wow. Everybody has to listen to this. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Ty some questions and we are going to do our very best to just stay on one subject.
Yes, stay on point.
More interviews. So there's no rush. But I would first like for you to give us a little bit about your background.
Wow, that's a tall order, Nange. I guess I've lived many lifetimes. In this lifetime, I was born in Texas, in Austin, um, raised in the country. I'm Native American Indian. I'm Shoshone, Comanche, and Lipon Apache. So we're way out in the country in Southwest Texas. Um, B County, I would say. We don't live in Bville, but B County, and that's way out in the sticks. You hunt for your food. You pump the water out of the ground and ride horses to school, stuff like that. And you have an outhouse and you burn your trash in a big hole. Yeah, we're way out. And you sleep on the floor on a carpet on one of those big giant rugs, the big itchy rugs, thick ones. Yeah, next to a heater that burns bricks to stay warm. So that upbringing there, and then being raised in overseas, traveling with my mom. Dad was killed in Vietnam, but raised my mom's DOD, and she took me all over the world with her from the age of 4, which I was old enough to travel with her. And back then, the passport, the child and the parent were together on the same passport. I didn't have my own. Now, my baby had her own passport. So now it's different. But she took me to the Philippines, Japan. She took me all over the world. And I loved it. I made friends everywhere I went. And we lived on base, off base. When there's no bases, we lived the way everybody lived. If there was a base, sometimes we'd live on base and sometimes we'd live off base. Um, so I understood what it was like to be a military brat, even though we weren't, DOD is not military, it's civilian.
So DOD
and
is
traveled and learned.
defense.
Department of Defense, correct. And she worked with OSI, DIA, all different departments like that. In fact, one of my girlfriends in the Philippines, her dad was Commander Mathis. And this is in the Philippines in the 70s, like 75, 74, 75, 76. And one of the people that she was working with, their departments, I guess OSI, would tell me, "Hey, you need to break up with your girlfriend. We're about to bust her daddy. He is the head of the black market of apes in all of Southeast Asia." I'm like, what? So 2 weeks later, her dad, yeah, it was in the Stars and Stripes. Her dad got busted for being the head of the black market of apes. So stuff like that. And then I learned martial arts from the age of
Explain
4.
APHES.
APs is like the PX or the BX. It's a on base. It's how people on base or in the military go grocery shopping or buy their goods from over. They ship it in and they can buy whatever they need, hard line or soft line items. So then my mom's like a Bruce Lee fanatic and she had a son. So I was in martial arts. I had no choice. In every Asian country we lived in, like Japan, I would learn judo, Aikido jujitsu, and 8 hours a day to 10 hours a day. That's all I did was martial arts all my life.
That is such a Karate Kid story.
No, I had no choice. I thought everybody did that.
Karate Kid too. It's just like,
Yeah. Yeah, I thought everybody did what I did. I didn't know better. I'm a little 4-year-old. I didn't know. I didn't know that this wasn't normal. I just thought, oh, everybody does this. This is normal. So I did it.
my brother did karate when he was like a preteen in Lesotho. And then my sons did Tang Sudo here in Austin. And then another one did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So yeah, I'm like really familiar with that. I never took
If you
martial arts.
if your brother was Tang Sudo in Austin, he's probably Migi Kwan. Tang Sudo Migi Kwan, I think. I don't know of the original Tang Sudo that I learned in Korea. So like that was Japan, and then Korea was Tang Sudo, Hapkido, and Taekyon and Warangdo. But Tang Sudo had an organization, and I stuck with that for a while. I mean, I kept with the organization, but it was Tang Sudo Mudokwan. And I came back to the U.S. as a teenager. They changed it because that name became public domain, so anybody could use the name Tang Sudo, and they're teaching Taekwondo. They're not teaching Tang Sudo.
Right.
So Mudokwan is the school, Tang Sudo is the art, and it's now changed to Subakdo. So there's a trademark on that. Nobody can use that name. So if you say Subakdo Mudokwan, then we know you're part of our art and our organization. But
Got
there's
it.
many Tang Sudo practitioners. And then, of course, in China, I learned Northern and Southern Fist from Shaolin, and then also Wudong, which has Bagua Chuan, and has Xingyi Chuan, and just all different styles. And you're not learning from the Shaolin temple, you're learning from somebody that would be very unassuming, and you don't even know they teach this. And you have to sit there and wait and be patient to be able to learn from them. They
There's
have to
only
accept.
one style I'm good at.
That's gun style, Gundam style. I got bullets and I can shoot you. That style.
Drunken Monkey.
Oh, drunken monkey. That's a difficult style. I never even got
Oh,
close to any
see,
of that.
it comes naturally.
Wow, that's amazing. That's a really difficult style, especially with the
Oh,
pole.
that was a joke.
Oh,
Figure, you see, you're so, you're like, oh, martial arts, I'm serious.
yeah.
And I'm like,
It's all disciplined by the numbers. Oh my God. Yes. Monkey style. No, I've seen drunken monkey. It's like crazy. Like, no, that's okay. People look at me and think, God, you can fly really high. And I go, yeah, after so many years of doing the same thing over and over, it comes naturally, but it comes easily. But when you see the pictures, you can kind of see what they're talking about. Like, yeah, I guess, yeah, I am pretty high up there in the sky. And
mm,
I can see where they think, wow, that's impossible. That's incredible. for
Yeah.
a big fat guy to fly that high.
Do you still practice? Or
Not anymore. I'm old. I mean, everybody wants me to get back into it. Even my old instructor, he's like, he really wants me to get back into it. I got a little boy, a 1 year old, and he shows a lot of promise. Same with my daughter; she's in it, and it comes naturally, which I'm a little upset about. Not upset, just because it makes her lazy. She doesn't have. You could show her something
yeah.
once, and she's got it.
You know what? There's something to be said about being so natural, like so good at something that you
Yes,
don't develop discipline.
she
Um,
doesn't have any discipline. That's the
yeah,
problem.
it's just yeah, and it's like, well, the reason why you're in martial arts right now really is to teach you discipline so that you can apply that discipline in other areas of your life, you know? And yeah, it's like a double-edged sword, you know? It's like I have a son who's that way, who would just, like tests, quizzes, pop quizzes, whatever, like always mid to high 90s without studying. But then it came so easily that it's like that, like hard, grueling work of studying. He just was like, why study? And it's like,
That's my daughter. So I teach her. I don't teach her martial arts. I have my old instructor, well, my American instructor, because I made Midnight Blue Belt, which is the equivalent to black. So it's a lot of philosophy. They say the sky is midnight blue. It's not black. So it's never ending, like the ocean is never ending. So your knowledge and your quest for knowledge is never ending. You never stop learning. So you're a midnight blue belt, not black.
see, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, and so with my daughter, my American instructor, when I came back from overseas and found him, and he was Tung Sudo Subak Do Munukwan, I told him, "You teach her, because I'll kill her. I will beat her. I'm her dad. I will beat her for not listening and being disciplined. So I'll be hard on her." So I know that. So I said, "No, somebody else needs to teach you and instruct you." And then it became where I saw her picking up everything way too quick and easy, very easy, and she wouldn't study, she wouldn't practice, but she could pass the test with no problem. She can show all the forms, everything, and she would progress, like she would jump belts, and I'm like, no, 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 there's a reason you have to go in order. But it's like she's at this level, why are you going to hold her back, is
Right.
what. And so I just said, you know what? I'll start teaching you the discipline part here at home. You're going to sit in horse stance for 30 minutes. And it's like the first 5 minutes she's dying. And then she got up to it to where now, oh yeah, 20, 30 minutes, that's nothing. Now you're going to hold your leg up with your knee and hold it like that, like preparing for a kick. And you're going to hold it for 20 minutes. And then, oh, you don't think that's hard? Now you're going to put your leg straight like a kick and hold it. And now, just that the isometrics of it, and this,
Yeah.
it's really hard and difficult, but it's showing her discipline. So now it's even worse because she can do all that, and I make it something that's so difficult that adults can't even do it. Now she can do it easily. And now it's like, oh my God, it created a monster.
Wow. Speaking of creating a monster and the issue of discipline,
Yes.
um, we had a conversation earlier today, and this is something that's been like heavy on my heart for a very, very long time. And I really would like for everybody in the world to have this conversation. And remember earlier um, you were talking about neuro linguistic programming.
Yes. NLP, Neuro Linguistics
NLP,
Program.
and how NLP is being used on us constantly by the media and entertainment and by politicians and everything. And so there's the issue of discipline and there's the issue of creating a monster. And like I had said earlier, I really feel like um, I understand the intent of Black Lives Matter, and I understand the vast majority of people, I think, who support it, have this intent that there be equality and justice for Black people. And I support that because I feel that every type of person, it doesn't matter what color or ethnicity, we all deserve equal treatment under the law, and we all deserve equal access to opportunities. As for equal outcomes, that's not possible. So I'm not even, I don't expect that. But what I get through the media is that Black people are not only not held to any standard at all, but, are not only held to a low standard, but really not any standard at all.
I
So
guess like low expectation.
low expectations, if not no expectations. So that's why for like 7 or 8 months, BLM could burn stuff down. And usually it was in Black communities and, smash and bash things up. And there were some, killings, or shall I say murders involved. And the media is like, gives Black people a free pass for bad behavior. And then when this thing happened at the Capitol, then there's all of this outrage. So for me, what that says is that Black people are here. I'll give you an example. I walk my dog every day and, she defecates on the grass and I kind of expect her to because she's a dog. Like, there's no way that I can teach her to hop up on a toilet seat and do her business. It's just, she's a dog. So
You could. A dog's trainable.
a dog is trainable, but that's going to take a lot.
But your expectations of your dog is very low.
Right. My expectations, I don't expect her to be,
I'll be training them to defecate in the toilet and
I could
flush
do
it.
that. I could do, and I'm sure people
Flush
have
it.
done that. Right. But still, she poops on the ground. I don't even get upset because I expect that. And I have my little baggie and I pick it up and we keep on going. And I feel like there's this indoctrination. It's really insidious for everybody, Black people, every type of person, to accept a different set of standards for Black people than for everybody else. And like we're being taught to see everything from a political standpoint, right? From right, left, Republican, Democrat, Black, white, whatever. Like that is how our brains are being entrained to see everything from that perspective. But I really believe that when we begin looking at things from an energetic perspective, not looking at this, but looking at
Vibrational,
outcomes,
spiritual.
vibrational, spiritual, like is the vibration like high and loving, or is the vibration like one of fear, vengeance, anger, all of that?
Yeah, the lower vibrations. Right.
The lower vibrations. But like for me, when I look at anything just from a vibrational standpoint, and it's very clear what's being done, the message, I can read the meta message because there's that like outward, this is the message, right? But then what's
Right.
the message? The meta message is we don't even expect Black people to have discipline over themselves. It's
What's
like that at the African American Museum of Art, History Museum, African American History Museum in DC. They had that big infographic basically saying that all of the values, like the values of hard work, discipline, um, controlling your temper, or what is the word? Like there's a phrase. It's got to do with disciplining yourself now for a better outcome in the future. You know, mathematics, being studious, having a nuclear, two-parent nuclear family, all of those things, but not for Black people. And there was an outrage, thank God, and they took it down. But there is this this movement in the name of dismantling white supremacy that is in fact dismantling really at its core indigenous families and structures and communities, because like I was born and raised in Africa, and our values are the same as your values, are the same as the values of all people all over the world, which is the family begins with, you know, the husband and wife, the mom and daughter, they have their children and they take care of them. And then they're the aunts and the uncles and the grandparents and the wider community. But you don't take the father out. The father is it's like the bedrock, you know,
The
and
foundation, right?
foundation. So this Marxism is being taught to everybody, and this Marxist theory and thought that the government should be in control of individuals is being indoctrinated into Black people, because I think really since the 60s, our communities have been decimated over time. And
It was
so,
before then.
yeah, but I think it's like, I agree with that, but I really do think that in the 60s, it
That's when you saw the results starting to, like with a plant, when you plant the seed and then you start to see it come out and grow. So the 60s is when it was starting to come out of the ground. So seed was planted in the 40s,
oh, I
because
was
that's,
in the 30s.
yeah, well, about the time they had the UN, the United Nations, or the League of Nations first, and then the United Nations, and then the war, World War One, World War Two. So yeah, you're right about the 20s and 30s. And
Yeah,
the 30s was the Great Depression, and we had to go to a war to get out of the depression, to make money, the economy. But that's when the globalists were starting to become in control, and that's where they said, okay, we're gonna reach a deal with Germany. We're doing business with Germany. You had Ford, Chevy, GM,
yeah.
all these companies were
Pfizer.
building stuff. Yeah, they're all building stuff for the Nazis,
Mhm.
yet they're American companies. So it was all about money. So basically, you saw that in about what, the 30s, the 40s, 20s, 30s, and 40s.
I think the 20s is like when like a lot of people were, there's a lot of communist talk, indoctrination or whatever, 30s and then the Great Depression, because it's the roaring 20s. Then we,
Whenever Marx came in.
yeah, and then we went into the 30s and then the 40s and post
That's
World War II.
that's when it started really to hit, and then the 50s it started growing, and the 60s you really started to see it,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that's when you had the, what, in the 40s and 50s you had the Red Scare with McCarthyism and all that. It was out in the open.
yeah. So I don't know. I feel often, I really feel at a loss. And I'll tell you, my first experience of communism, I was 4 years old. We were living in Nigeria. And those are my former, was it my foreman?
Formidable years. Yeah, English is difficult sometimes.
Yeah. So like my first memories, formative years, whatever, but we were living in Nigeria in it was a university town called Abraka. And my parents had these friends, Russian couple, and this is during, the Soviet Union. This Russian couple, cute married couple, they would come over on the weekends for barbecues and stuff like that. But every now and again, there were the Malikoviches or the Milicevics. Gosh, I don't remember. It was something like that. But the wife would come over in the afternoon, and my mom had like Time and Newsweek magazines under the pillow, like the cushion of the couch. And Mrs. Malikovich, I think I got it right, would come and like sit there and like flip through and like flip through and oh thank you, and like she'd look, and like when she came in the house she's looking everywhere, and she's like really paranoid.
Cameras.
Next week, yeah, her husband would show up in the evenings after dinner, and he would park his car like down the block and walk in, and he and my dad would sit in the living room and smoke cigars and pipes and drink whatever. I don't know if it was like cognac or brandy or whatever. And he would take his time, but he would put the magazines inside the paper, the newspaper, and it would get really quiet, and there's just like, that was when my dad used to smoke, but like the whole room would just fill with smoke, and you'd hear like and grunts, and you'd be like, thank you very much, Paseka, I'll see you in the weekend, or and I remember like this happened like pretty consistently over a very long time, and I was like, Mommy, why are they acting so strange? And so my mom explained to me about Russia and communism, and they can get in a lot of trouble for reading American magazines because the United States is free and they're not free in Russia. My mom told me about censorship. They could go to jail.
The gulag.
This, and I'm like 4, getting close to 5 years old by this time, and that memory is stuck with me. I wrote about it on Facebook, and then for Facebook, and then I was like, Daddy, before I press the send button, I want you to read this and let me know if what is it, I made it overblown, like if I exaggerated. And he was like,
Right.
no, not at all, you remember it perfectly, that's exactly what happened. And I was like, wow, it's like communism is evil. If two people who are married can't even trust each other, and they're afraid, but that's what communism does. Everybody is an informer, and from what I understand, in North Korea, children have turned in their own parents.
Yep.
Parents get killed, or like disappeared, whatever.
The gulags.
So
Yep.
yeah,
That's
so
see something, say something. Hear something,
yeah,
say something. That's
yeah,
the communist way. And they said the same here. They said snitches get rewarded. See something, say something. Yeah, that's communist.
yeah,
And what's funny for me, it's not funny, but funny strange, is coming back from living in so many communist countries and coming back to my country, which I love dearly, and every American needs to live in another country or a communist country for at least 2 years minimum, and then come back to America and go, wow, I love my country. You'll figure it out real quick, and of what you have here in America. It's called freedom, but people here don't get it. They can't see, it's right in their face that they live in a communist country now. America is communist. They don't get it. They, no matter, you can argue with them blue in the face, and I'm like, this is a fact. This is not my opinion. It is a fact. Fact. We have Social Security. Social Security. It says exactly in China the same thing on the building. Social Security. Same thing on the building. When you finish 20 years of working at your job in China, you get Social Security. When you reach a certain age, you get Social Security. You get those benefits. It's the same. Socialist, communist is the same. And everybody wants to argue, oh, socialism is different from communism. Well, I guess you don't understand it. You cannot have one without the other. You can't have communism without socialism, and you can't have socialism without communism, especially on a large scale.
yeah,
Maybe with a very small group. That's why they call it a commune. When you get like 100 people together and they live on a big plot of land, that's a commune. Communist, socialist. It's still socialist and communist. Commune, to commune. So it's still communist, and they're being social. They're sharing everything.
what do you think is the attraction towards socialism and communism that people here?
Rules for thee and not for me. Because the leaders, the ones who formed the group. It's like the pyramid scheme. The ones at the top, get all the cheese. The ones at the bottom.
Ponzi scheme?
Oh yeah, it's a Ponzi scheme. Oh, big time. My God. Come on, who are all the billionaires? The billionaires are the ones on top of the Communist Party. You go to China, Russia, any of them. The KGB, what? They're rich, mega rich. Billionaires. Remember back in the 80s and 90s, all the Russian billionaires when the USSR fell were all the Communist Party leaders that got out of there with all the money because they're the Communist Party. Same in China. All the Communist Party leaders, they're billionaires, not millionaires. They're all billionaires. There are more billionaires in China and in Russia than the whole world. But trillionaires, I would say, are in Indonesia. That's the biggest hidden secret. Trillionaires are in Indonesia. I've met several. So people can say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Well,
trillionaires.
Yeah, I go tell people, then go live in Indonesia. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Go live in Indonesia for about 4 or 5 years. You'll meet several trillionaires and you'll see it. You'll be like, wow.
What about the Indonesian economy makes them trillionaires besides them just
everything
everybody?
Everything is hidden. Think about it. That's where all the pirates went in the old days. All the islands you hear about in the stories, oh, they hid their booty in this island. Yeah. The Treasure Island, whatever island, that's Indonesia. There's like what, 1,300 islands, something like that. You can buy an island in Indonesia. It's cheap. I mean, a big island you can buy. You can own it. So over there, it's all pirate. It's still pirate. Everything's hush hush, secret. You pay them enough money, you can do anything you want. Anything you want. It's like the wild, wild west over there.
Wow.
Yeah. I had a bodyguard with a machine gun. He'd walk around with it. And he had a uniform and everything, like the police. He had a police uniform. He was a policeman. And I just paid him money. And he had a machine gun, an AK-47. He carried it around. And he would bodyguard me.
Yeah.
They had a machine gun right in the open. Nobody's going to mess with you. Nobody's going to mess with you.
Depends on the country. Of course, it depends on the level of country, corruption in the country, but that's how it is in many, many African countries. Is the wealthy have, live in gated homes and gated communities and have the personal, bodyguards, and it kind of has to be that way because the chasm between the rich and the poor is just so vast,
Indonesia, you talk about gated community. Okay, I can tell you one in Medan, Indonesia. Medan is like a jungle. It's in the middle of a jungle. That's Medan. That's a city. Okay, I know the owner of the city. I know that, like, it's a Chinese Indonesian. They're Chinese from Fujian, China, and they came to Indonesia during the war, and they're all born in Indonesia. The relatives now. Yeah, during the war, they all fled, like to Hawaii, Japan, Taiwan. Everybody left, and so they're mostly Fujian people. So they speak Hokkien. So they're very rich. They took a lot of money, and they're the ones who prop up the Indonesian economy. Suharto was the tyrant dictator for 33 years, and he said no education, no schools. So the Indonesian people could not learn anything. They were dumbed down, no education. But the Chinese, they still taught in their homes. They taught the language from Mandarin to math to everything. So they stayed smart. And they're the ones who own all the businesses. So in Indonesia, every business is owned by Chinese Indonesian. There's 3 types of people there. There's India, people from India, people Indonesian, the local, and then the Chinese Indonesian. The Chinese are the ones who are in support of the economy. And there was something big that happened in 99 or 98 where Suharto blamed the prices of rice going sky high when it was Suharto who did it on purpose. And he blamed the Chinese because the Chinese and the Indonesians, they were friends. They got along until Suharto said, no, it's them that's making you not afford rice and going starving. And they killed hundreds of thousands of Chinese and burned them in the streets and burned their houses and raped them in front of their husbands. And all
I
kinds of
remember,
horrible
I
atrocities.
remember, I remember learning about that, but I didn't,
Oh, it was
I didn't
bad.
know it was that bad
They
as
were videotaping it. Yeah, they're videotaping them raping the wives and in front of the husbands and burning people, killing people, and dragging them in the streets dead. And then the smart Indonesians that were educated outside of Indonesia came back and told the people, hey, Suharto did this, not the Chinese, and they proved it. The people were so saddened and heartbroken that they killed these people because of this man. They all went. I'm talking millions of them, tens of millions. And they said, we're here to kill you, Suharto, unless you step down. So he stepped down and he says, you deserve it. And he took all the gold and all the riches of Indonesia when he left. So still, the people were poor. So I learned about that history, and the relationship is now good again. And you know, they have what they call a community, a Chinese community in Midan, which is in the jungle. Cobras, big giant 22-foot lizards. You open your door in the morning, there's a cobra at the front door, psst, and you're like, I'm not going that way. I'm going out the back door. I mean, there's cobras everywhere. Little monkeys about this big, a
oh,
foot. Yeah, yeah, little monkeys trying to take your keys from your motorcycle or your sunshades or your hat. It's just wild. It's a jungle, and there's a community, a gated community with a big giant like not a fence that we know, but what do you call it? Fence, concrete fence, and they
right.
have the biggest mansions there. Every house is a 3 or 4 story mansion made of marble floors and everything. That's where the Chinese live, and the owner of that complex owns the city and the airport. The name of the complex is Chamara Asri.
Mm.
Chamara Asri, and they have a college, an elementary school, middle school, and high school. They have everything there. It's a big community with stores and shops and everything's there. You don't have to leave.
What's the population?
Of that Chinese community, it's like a little city, a little tiny city within the city. I'd say maybe about 3,000, 3,000 in that small little community. And you're talking about you're in a Muslim country, the biggest Muslim population in the world. And I could do anything in Indonesia. Muslims were great. They treated me wonderful.
Mhm.
They would tell me because I was eating Pizza Hut, and I said I can have pepperoni, and I go, this isn't real pepperoni, and they're like, yes, it's real. And I go, but pepperoni has pork in it, and Sharia law says no pork in this country. And they looked at me and go, you're our guest. You're not Muslim. You don't go by Sharia law. You don't go by our law.
Right.
You're our guest, so we have this for you. We treat you as our
Yeah,
guest.
that's really interesting because I have a friend from Israel who said that um, actually Israel is one of the biggest pork producers in the world, and that you can go to like a McDonald's or wherever and you can get like a Big Mac, like you can get a cheeseburger.
Yeah,
Like, it's there. We are given these stereotypes of different people and different countries, and like you were telling me about what happened in Indonesia, I mean, it's just like I felt it, because here's a whole population that's been vilified to the point where people are willing to do the most horrific, commit the most horrific crimes against them. And I'm thinking about what's going on right now in our country where a whole population is being vilified and made out to not be even human. And that is the population that freaking grows our food.
but remember, it's all based on a lie. The same thing in Indonesia. They lied about the Chinese raising the prices of rice and the food,
Yeah.
and that's what got them killed. Because
Yeah.
the people were dumbed down. They were dumbed down,
Mm.
so they were easily manipulated by words, by the leaders, and they killed. They killed. They just reacted by emotion and killed hundreds of thousands of Chinese. They were raping them. They were burning them alive, and they were killing them in the streets, blood flowing everywhere. Now, that's what's going to happen here. Dumb down Americans, dumb, dumb, dumb from the education system here. The education here sucks. The public education, even the private education. It is dumb down people. So, yes, I'm calling Americans dumb that went to public school. Why? Because that's what they did to you. It's not your fault. It's the government's fault. What kind of school is it? It's a government public school. They dumbed you down. They made you stupid. So guess what? What did they change? They changed your critical thinking
Yeah.
and problem solving skills. And so you cannot critically think and you cannot problem solve. So you do as you're told, like a slave or like a worker, which the school system is built on. The infrastructure of the school is based on the industrial period, which is all factories, and the factories are based on bells. You know, at this time the bell rings, you're conditioned. Okay, we got to go to class at this time. The first bell rings, second bell, we get out of class, go to our next class, third bell. Yeah, you're conditioned like Pavlov's dog. Hear the bell ring, I go. Um, so they're just created for workers, to create workers, obedient workers that listen, that do not think.
You know what's so dumb about I I finished high school here in Austin in public school. And I would go home to Lesotho every summer, but it was midwinter in Lesotho. And Lesotho has the highest low point above sea level of any country in the world. So the whole country is mountains on mountains on mountains. So during midsummer in the US, it was midwinter in Lesotho. And Maseru, the capital city, is in the lowlands. And it's similar to Austin where it snow occasionally, like maybe once a year, occasional snow. But the highest regions are like snow capped, and the mid-high regions always have snow. And I had teachers, of course, my peers in high school told me there was no such country as Lesotho.
Wow.
There's no such thing as snow in Africa, even though
That's crazy.
I know, like even though in Lesotho people would have to get rescued via helicopter from their houses because they would get totally snowed in. So there's like no snow in Africa. It doesn't get cold in Africa.
That's funny.
You are a liar. You're making up stories because you want attention, and you're really from Jamaica. And I had like a couple of teachers in high school who were saying this too. And I'm like, this is my country. I can show you. Like I had to literally do this thing where I set up a booth and I brought coffee table books, magazines, photographs, posters. I wore the traditional stuff, you name it. But
yeah.
I mean, it just, when I think about it, it blows my mind because I had a couple of teachers who didn't know anything about Lesotho, and they were too prideful to admit they didn't know anything, and they were conditioned. Then I was getting bullied by other kids because the teachers were like, oh yeah, she's just making up stories. She's not from Africa. She just wants to be different. There's no snow in Africa. Everybody knows that.
I think you're
Hmm.
that's crazy. So that's that what we call gaslighting. That's gaslighting.
Yeah.
So basically that's what's being done here. People are being gaslit, they're being mesmerized or hypnotized or neuroprogrammed. They're being programmed, and television is part of it. It's just everything on them.
To see something that isn't there, and then to not see what is there. And
Correct.
It's total hypnosis and mind control.
It is.
It really blows my mind. Like Verstine and I went to a particular very important city on a particular day, and
Yeah.
met people. And I was talking to a bunch of men. I mean, like four different groups of men. I think there was like an average of five or six men per group. So it's like around 25, 26 men or whatever. 25, no, between 25 and 30 men. And I talked to them. And I was like, what brings you here? And they're like, I'm a small business owner. My town is devastated. I'm a rancher. I'm a farmer. Even before coronavirus, the government was creating more and more regulations to try to put us out of business. And now I and everybody I know is totally out of business, and they've given us no help under coronavirus. And we have a famine coming because we've been shut down. I met men who were forced to, like plow stuff underground or like kill a bunch of livestock, or they're just
Right.
not able to operate at all. And they were saying, like, we're devastated. We're absolutely devastated. This is more than a particular very big type of fraud. It's everything that led up to it as well. And, they were all sweet, kind guys. I don't know. They were not supposed to be willing to listen to me, right? Because the media says that they hate me and people who look like me. But I was just walking around and I was saying hi, and they really wanted to talk to me, and they were just like very, very kind, hardworking people. I saw people of every single demographic. I saw some Ethiopian people there. They had the like Lion of Judah flag. There were a bunch of Chinese people there, so many people from China, people from South America, Venezuela, Cuba.
The media won't show that.
No, 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 no. They edit out everybody that doesn't fit the narrative,
That's right.
every age, every demographic. And I was lucky enough that up until middle school, I went to school in Lesotho. I went to a couple of international schools, so I had friends from all over the world. And we had some of the best history education, and it was world history, and we spent a lot of time on every single continent. So we didn't just learn, like in the United States in public school and even many private schools, when we learn world history here, it's usually Europe and the United States, and then maybe on Africa and on South and Central America or Asia or whatever. But when I was in Lesotho, we learned every continent. We learned about the ancient histories of every continent up to our present. And we learned so much about, like by the end of it, I had equal respect for every continent and for every type of person, because all of us come from these amazing civilizations that, rose and fell. Every single one of us. Like, there's no part of the planet where human beings are that hasn't experienced like the ebb and flow of civilization, of war, of slavery, of technology, of spiritual stuff, religion, you name it, and we learned a lot about these great African civilizations that were even bigger and more powerful than those in Europe. And we learned about how Europeans came and razed almost everything to the ground. Literally, shot people, burned it down, bombed it, whatever. So because of that education, and also growing up in Africa, growing up in Lesotho and traveling to so many different countries, I never I never put African people here and Europeans here, or everybody else and Europeans up here. In my mind, everybody is here, and in the span of time, it's like this, right? These are up, these are down, da 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 da. And I was really shocked when I started coming to school here in the United States at how little Americans knew about, not only how little Americans knew about other parts of the world, but they really believed this propaganda about African people. It really blew my mind, you know?
Well, isn't it funny that, okay, so I'm Native American, so we're from here, but I was raised over there, outside of America. And it's funny because America is the melting pot. So you have all these different nations, people of different nations coming to America, bringing their history direct. Yet now Americans don't even know the world history. Yet America is built upon many different nations with their history and their culture. So Christmas is not my culture. Christmas isn't from us. None of the stuff that we celebrate is from us. We don't even have a month. What is it? Black History Month?
I know.
Black's got a month? We don't even have a day. What's that about? This is our country.
Thanksgiving.
Every
I want
state,
to go into Thanksgiving. What's about
every
that?
every state is like an Indian state. What is that? Washington, that's Indian. Oklahoma, it's Indian. Texas, it means friend.
Oklahoma.
Tejas, yeah. What is this? Everything. What else? Delaware. That's an Indian tribe. Come on, man. What's going on? Everything reminds you of us, but nobody can remember us. Yet it's in their face.
My daughter, my older daughter, I've got 2 daughters and 2 sons, but my older daughter played lacrosse in high school and college.
Indian game.
And I remember when she was playing in college, there's this big scandal because, is it the Iroquois?
Iroquois, yeah. Micmac, Iroquois, Huron, they all played. Yeah, the Six Nations.
They have a lacrosse team, but their team was not allowed to play internationally. I think there was this big tournament. I don't know if you call it tournament.
It's because of their passports.
Yes.
They're from a different nation within the US, yet they have their own passport. It's not American.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I can't believe this. I cannot, like France, whatever nation was not allowing them in. And they're the originators of the game.
We call that cheating. Any way they can. Oh, let's find this. Yeah, here we go. In the rule book, we can't let them in. They don't have the visa.
I'm laughing because, if I don't laugh, I'll cry. And I just look terrible when I cry. And I just don't want to bring people.
Well, that's how I felt about coming back to America. I've got to laugh. I've got to call people out and make fun of it. And people are like, this guy's not serious. And I am serious. I'm to the point of, I'm about to fight people. I'm about to get aggressive. I'm about to just lose it. But I can't. I know that's the wrong way. So I have to come at it a different perspective. And Native Americans are the most funniest, humorous people in the world.
There's this channel. Oh my God, what's it called? It's a YouTube channel.
Those 2 guys.
These 2 guys?
Yeah. Oh, I know the channel.
I was up until 3 o'clock in the morning one time because I couldn't get enough of them.
I think they're Ojibwe, or they're from the nation like the Ojibwe, the Lakota, Sioux. They're all the same tribe. They're all come to the same tribe.
They are hilarious, and the humor is just deadpan.
That's the tip.
Just tell a joke like this, and it's so funny, and just with this poker
straight face.
I love it. And like Native Americans be like, Native Americans, reaction, videos. Like remember
TikTok.
One with the tourist woman who decided that she was
buffalo. Oh God! Here, let me pet that tiger. Let me pet the lion. Come here, kitty. I'm gonna pet you now. Yeah. That's gonna work out real well for you.
It was so funny. But I love those guys. They're hilarious.
Oh. Yeah, that's the tip. That's the tip of our humor. The tip. That's the very tip. It goes so deep. It goes so deep and so much bigger than an iceberg. Native Americans are very humorous people. I mean, I've traveled many, many, many countries. It's like people have to ask me, what country have you not lived in? That's how many countries I've been in. So I met the people. Yes, people are humorous in some countries and not as humorous in others. But as a whole, in the whole world, I have to say, natives are the most funniest people you'll ever meet.
So like those two guys aren't they aren't special.
No, that's normal. That's just average. That's average. That's just every day. They're just being them.
You have to. Like you have to have a sense.
Well, think about what they've gone through, what we've gone. I haven't gone through what they've gone through. It's bad. I mean, it's in their face if they live on a reservation. We're lucky. Our family got saved from being killed on the spot by Texas Rangers or by being taken and dragged into reservations in Oklahoma for Comanches. So, I mean, that's why my name is Abrigo. It's not a name, it's a thing, it's an overcoat. So, Abrigo means overcoat in Spanish. And so they had to fool the Texas Rangers for us to think that we were Mexican, and we're not Mexican, we're Indian. And so they see our last name, and the church is the one who, out in the country, they're the ones who take care of the documents of the births. And so they gave us a last name, Abrigo. And it sounds Spanish. We spoke Spanish. They taught us Spanish. And so the Texas Rangers didn't kill us on the spot, or they didn't drag us to the Oklahoma reservations. And I feel, like, wow, yeah, I'm disconnected from my culture and everything about it. But at the same time, we're still alive. And we're not drug addicts. We're not alcoholics. We're not having domestic violence. We're surviving. We're more than surviving. We're flourishing. And then even the ones on the res, to deal with it, you have to have that escape. So most Native American Indians, the escape is humor.
Humor.
The opposite of crying is laughing. So you gotta laugh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It keeps you from killing yourself.
Well, I must say, I think that the Basutu have the best sense of humor.
Live on a reservation for a week. You'll get it. You'll go, wow, I can't stop laughing every day. It's just too funny.
And you were saying in your other video, it's like, hey, all of you Americans who want socialism, all of you want this, you think it's a good thing. Just look at how Native Americans are living right now on reservations. That's going to be all of us if you don't wake up.
Yeah, one of our leaders, one of our great elders, Russell Means. I had the honor of meeting him twice on a movie set.
Where does he live?
He's Lakota. He's Sioux Lakota. So he's up in the Pine Ridge Reservation. He died. He died. I don't know how many years ago. Maybe about.
Because my grandfather, his last name is Means.
Yeah,
he's very rare last name. So whenever somebody Means, I'm like, I wonder.
Yeah, Russell Means. So he's a leader of Indians, like not just the Lakota or Dakota or Nakota or Sioux, but he's our leader. He was part of the AIM, American Indian Movement, AIM, back in the 70s. He went through a lot. He talked to Congress. You can look up a lot of his videos. He's done movies. He's done political offices. He's done a lot of things. And I was lucky and very honored to meet him twice. And now he's gone. He's passed. And so has Mr. Trudell, John Trudell. And these are our leaders that we had. And he said it in a video. You can look it up on YouTube. He said that, hey, you guys don't know anything about communism or socialism. You know nothing about it. The government has communism, and it's called a reservation. They give us free meals, but the meat is rotten. The cheese is bad. We have no running water. The houses we can't live in, they're unlivable by human standards.
Mm-hmm.
It's just poverty way lower than the line of poverty is here, they're way below it, way below any nation of the world's poverty. And domestic violence is the highest, suicide's the highest, drug addiction's the highest, alcoholism's the highest. So you want to know what communism, socialism is? Go live on a reservation just for 1 week, and you'll get a taste of enough taste of it to where that's not what you want because you don't know what you're talking about. For me, I say go live in China, go live in North Korea, go live in Russia, go live in Vietnam, go live in Cuba, go live in a communist country.
What the apartheid government did to Black people, all non-white people in South Africa. It's the same thing what the apartheid government did. And current South African government is not much better, unfortunately. But yes, like and in South Africa, they're called townships.
Yeah, townships, yeah. So what I tell people is, like what Russell Means, our leader, was telling us before he died, he's trying to tell Americans that, hey, this is what's next for you, not just for us. We already went through it. We're the guinea pigs. Then the Black people were next. They were the next guinea pigs. Now it's going to be everybody. And this is whatever happened to us is going to happen to all of you. And nobody wanted to listen.
The thing is, I have many, many friends on the left who have been making fun of white conservatives for saying things like, they're trying to enslave us. So I have
We're already enslaved.
Too, yeah. And they're trying to take everything away. And so friends on the left are like, oh, now you're crying. Oh, you're going to have a taste of slavery, or look at Black people. You don't know anything about slavery. And like mocking them. They don't
They're
understand.
ignorant.
They don't
They're
understand.
ignorant.
It's like if a man cannot defend his life, he's a slave.
That's right.
If any of us cannot freely say whatever is on our mind, like, hey, I have a new idea. Hey, I have an idea about how to solve this problem. Hey, so-and-so has a great idea. If you're afraid to say that, then you're living in a state of slavery. And I mean, we talked about this before. It's like, what is it going to take to, I don't even want to say wake people up because that's become so cliche.
Oh,
help people.
What is it going to take? Okay, I'll answer it. What is it going to take? Like I was telling Versti, I was telling her, she's like so like enamored with, we gotta fight, we gotta get the word out, we gotta this and that, and we can't let Biden this and that, and we can't let them win. And I said, Versi, just let it happen. Let it go. Let go of the tug of war rope. Let it go. They're gonna fall. They're gonna lose. We give them enough rope, they're gonna hang themselves 10 times over because they're gonna show their true face.
Racist. How could you say that?
What do you mean? They're gonna
themselves? Are you kidding? That is racist. Don't you know the legacy of
they're gonna hang themselves.
Using native humor.
Yeah, they're gonna hang themselves. So yeah, on trees. Let alone burn themselves. So basically, my whole thinking is let them have everything. Because these people, you can't tell them, you can't show them, you can put it in their face. They can tell them, they are telling them right in their face, this is what we're going to do. Because that's part of their MO. Okay, part of their modus operandi is to tell you what they're going to do first. There's no resistance. There's all silence. There's consent. Great, we're going to do it.
And but if people...
Right, so everybody's silent, nobody's speaking up, nobody's fighting back, nobody's saying no, you can't do this, so that's consent. So they do it. But they'll tell you in your face, we're going to do this. And they do it. So it's in their face, but they still can't see. So I'm like, Versti, let it go. Let Biden win, let the leftists win, let them have everything. They want chaos. They want cities burning. Let them have it. Because then they're going to wake up and go, oh my God, this is not what we wanted. We didn't want this, but that is what you wanted. You wanted it. And there it is. Once you got the monster out, you wanted the monster, but only for them, not for you. But once you let a monster out, it's going to take over everybody. And that's what they don't understand.
Interesting. Over the past several months, there have been mayors and governors and all these people in high positions who, don't visit your family for Thanksgiving and social, all of this.
Rules for thee, not for me.
And it seems to me as if they're training us to accept that they are gods and we are not. Because, like, what is the definition of a god? A god is immune to disease. A god is immune to suffering. A god is immortal, right?
Communist Party is the same.
Yeah.
The Communist Party can do everything, but the people cannot. And you're talking about 1.6 billion people. And the Communist Party is up here, like you said, like a god. And money is their god. They worship money. They worship the party, the Communist Party, above everything, above money and everything.
God
There's no God.
Government, there is no God.
That's right, atheist. That's communism.
Yeah, and the government owns us. We are the
slaves
of the government.
We're the workers.
The government can do whatever it wants to us, and then those who run the government they can flaunt everything in front of us, and they do it at every opportunity, so that after a while we're so beat down that we
how many Lamborghinis and Ferraris I drove in China? I'm telling you, there's millionaires and billionaires everywhere in China. I got pictures of me driving a gold-plated Ferrari. Gold-plated Ferrari. That's money flaunted in your face. Lamborghinis, Maseratis, I mean, everywhere. They would race at 2:30 in the morning in Shanghai. Every morning, 1:30, 2:30 in the morning. They're racing around the rings, the third ring of Shanghai. You could hear it all night. They flaunt it. They show off all the time. Yes.
And yet we're supposed to believe that the people who own businesses, who grow our food, raise our food, process our food,
supremacists.
that they're evil people. So our reason for being here, because first of all, under communism, you and I are units of production. That's what we are, right?
Slaves. Yeah, slaves.
Slaves. We're units of production. And
manual labor, free.
Free manual labor. And we are, oh my gosh, I just lost
You can't work for yourself and make your own money. We pay you the money. We're going to UBI. We're going to give you money. Yeah, slaves.
And it's going to be paradisical. It's going to be, it's a utopia, because this is
in their face.
I've brought this up before. I mean, you know how you go through life and then there's this big problem to solve, but then there are certain things that you read, that you watch, that you experience, that just leave this indelible mark. It's like, I believe this, and then this happened, and I saw everything differently, right?
Right.
So on YouTube, there's a video of a liberal interviewing, I think he was a Navy SEAL. And the liberal,
yeah. I saw it.
That one?
Yeah, a gun channel. They have a gun channel.
It's hilarious, because they were talking about defunding the police. And the girl who's got university degrees is like, well, it's about legislation. And if we just, take the money and reallocate it over here and create some more laws, then we won't have
feelings.
And the Navy SEAL,
nothing more than feelings.
Yeah. And the Navy SEAL is like,
feelings.
Well, human nature. And he's like, well, human nature. Well, people don't respond in the way you think in certain situations.
That's
And
right.
and he's sitting back and he's like, oh. And I could
Couldn't get him on that one.
trying to keep his temper, like, how can this man be so blind? How can he not see? And this highly educated guy, um, he has no, it's like his head and his heart are like separated. There's no communication.
It's emotion. It's emotion. Everything in education is based on emotion since 1950, but they really didn't push it until the late 60s and 70s. But everything, the whole curriculum is based on feelings. How do you feel about this? How do you, not critical thinking,
No.
not logic. It was
Well,
all based on
critical thinking and
emotion.
logic are now thought crimes. Why does my face look so blurry? Strange.
So look up Charlotte Iserby.
Weird.
Look up Charlotte Iserby on YouTube, and you'll get pretty much the basics of what the education system went through. She was part of all that, and she'll tell you directly what they want, everything they want to do, and it's all about emotions, so they can control you with no logical thinking. So that's that guy. He's not thinking with his head, he's thinking emotionally. And that's a feminine trait.
Yeah.
Females think emotionally. 1 plus 1 is 2. How does that make me feel? How does 1 plus 1 equal 2 make me feel? That's a female's thought process. A male's thought process is 1 plus 1 equals 2. Okay, next. 2 plus 2 equals 4. Okay, got it. Next. That makes sense. I can prove it. I can prove that, I there it is. So that's a feminine trait. And that's what they put in there. And you notice everything's feminine. Take the man out of the house. Feminine. A woman can't raise a man to be a man. So the next generation of men aren't men. They're more feminine. They're more gay. They're more trans. They're more feminine. Weak. I don't mean weak as in women are weak. I'm talking about they're not men. They don't have the foundation, the strength. They don't have the confidence. They don't have anything of the traits of a male. And I don't mean male as a man. I mean the male. You have the feminine trait. They don't have any of that.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have a yang. You have a yin, but no yang. So you can't have Tao. So there's three. That's actually four. The yin, the yang, the Tao, and then the fourth one puts them all together. So in Native American, it's all fours. In, I guess, Christian or I guess the other world is three.
Mm-hmm.
Third dimension. We live in the fourth dimension. So there's a third dimension. So everything's in threes, the Trinity. The Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. You've got the egg, you got the shell, the yolk, and the yellow part,
Mm-hmm.
the whites and the yolk.
Mm-hmm.
You got everything's the trivium, the three. Well, we got the quadrivium, the four. So there's 3 acts in a play. Well, we have 4 in our stories. We have the lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. You got the characters, and you got the whatever happened, the conflict, and then you got the resolution, and then the fourth is ours, is the lesson.
Yeah.
See, so there's a lot of things. Education is how they control you from birth, and they want to take control of the child right after birth.
What's really interesting? I remember being 4 years old and being very, very aware that this is a fake world that we're living in. I remember being just so aware that a lot
This
of
is a
knowledge
dream.
was being hidden, that we were being manipulated, that we were being lied to. And I remember even in the 70s, this is so crazy. I remember in the 70s really feeling like something wrong had gone on with adults. Like I remember just being so aware, like, why are the adults acting so strangely? And this was like around the end, it was like maybe a decade or several years after the beginning of the sexual revolution. And This was one time where we were in the States and visiting my grandparents. No, I was in the States. I was for school. I was here for school for about a year and a half. So it was like between 8 and 9 years old. And there was this commercial. It was like Anjali. I think it was a perfume. And this woman is singing, I can bring home the bacon, da 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 da, fry it up in the
Yeah.
never, never let you
I'm warm. Woman, hear me roar.
because I'm a woman, Angelique. I can come home at 5 o'clock, come home and read you tickety talk. I can
Who is
love
that? Raquel Welch who did that?
you, person quits. I don't, maybe. But I
Yeah.
remember like every time that ad came on, I would stop everything and I would watch it. And I would just be like,
Feminist movement.
I didn't know what it was. I was just thinking,
Programming.
why would a woman like, I was like, well, what good is the man if he can't do anything for her, if she's doing everything for him, and then she makes him feel like a man? And I would just sit there and going, but how does a woman make a man feel like a man if she took over his job?
That's right.
Like,
He's less of a man. He can't
that's one of
support
the
or
things.
provide for his family.
Yeah, I was like, well, maybe I'll understand it better when I'm older. But, and then I remember thinking, why do all of the adults accept this? And who can I talk to about it? And I just remember it really, really bothering me. And then later on in my life, you know, at work or, you know, at a social event, we talk about stuff and then people go, oh, well, you know, everybody knows you're a conservative, Inange. Like you're a conservative.
Everybody knows you're conservative.
Yeah. Oh my God.
As opposed to what?
And I was like, I am? Like, I didn't know. Like,
Oh,
but
you're
people
in the middle.
me, I'm in the, I feel like I'm in the middle, but people would,
Right, you are.
I was a conservative, but like, you're a conservative.
They're just trying to shift the Overton window so that you're not in the middle. Now you're a conservative.
Yeah, but then I'm just thinking I'm a very pragmatic, practical person. Like if I plant a seed and I fail to water it, give it adequate sunlight, or like we're having this big ice storm right now, if I don't, you know, protect my plant, then it's gonna, you know, snap and die or it won't grow. And for me, that's just common sense, you know, like that's just life. If
But they don't have common sense,
I don't
remember?
know, huh?
They're not educated. They don't have common sense.
But then they tell me I don't believe in science. They're like, you don't believe in
They
science.
don't know what science is.
But science, if you say you believe in science, then you're putting science in the realm of religion and faith.
Science is in religion and faith.
Right.
It's just a way of supporting that.
Yeah, but I think that science is knowledge, right? Like take for instance, I went to this place and I met a bunch of farmers and ranchers, right?
But but
They
what I
don't
mean,
have to believe in science. They know science. They know if they don't take care of their animals or their crops, they're going to die or get disease.
right. So
So
when I
they don't have to
homeschool,
believe. They live
when
it.
you right, when you homeschool, that's the way you teach is by doing. So if you want to teach, I want to teach my 9-year-old daughter the science of agriculture and the seasons and the moons and you know when to plant, when not to plant, and how to go by the moons. You know, the shifting of the moons, the different types of moons, and then the sun and the water and the photosynthesis of plants and why they need oxygen. Plants need not oxygen; they need carbon uh, dioxide that we produce,
Mhm.
and they produce oxygen. And then from the sun, it's photosynthesis, and so that's all science, just in planting and
Mhm.
how to germinate the seed and how to how far in do you put the seed in the ground, what type of soil, then your erosion, you know and so she's learning like, oh my god, mind blowing. So I have different levels of learning. I can teach a 5-year-old gravity in the most simplistic form by going, hey, jump up and down. What's bringing you back down to earth? Why don't you float away? That's called gravity. they can understand that. Now, if I would teach it at a college level, I'm going to get into gravitons and photons and atoms and quantum physics, and I want to get into all that and break down gravity, as in gravity is time and space and distance. And what time? Yeah, gravity has something to do with time. The faster you go, what happens? You get heavier. That's gravity, right? Bringing you down and making you heavier. Gravitons. And then the lighter you are, the slower time is. And then time is a perception. It's in our mind. So it's quantified. It's relative. And then, I can go to a college level and explain that. So everything's the same. So I can teach my 9-year-old daughter science by planting, watermelon seeds or corn or tomatoes. I can tell her about why squirrels come and eat the tomatoes, and how to fight, what a scarecrow does and why the squirrel's afraid of the scarecrow. You can go to so many different levels of teaching at home, homeschooling, than you can in the classroom, because they got to deal with 30 kids or 25 or 26 kids, and they can't focus on one kid. So you're getting a certain level of education, and the rest you got to do on your own, which nobody's going to do.
That's why you've got these Silicon Valley executives who put their kids in these really expensive schools where they have no screens. They have a little farm in the school and a garden, and when the weather permits, they have their classes outdoors in the woods.
Yep.
And it's all hands-on. And these Silicon Valley executives know, they're saving their children from slavery.
What was it? What were they saying before the pandemic? Oh, homeschoolers are bad. They're evil. Oh, no, homeschooling. You got to put your kid in a government public school. That's the only way. And then, bam, pandemic. Oh, wow, we're going to homeschooling. Wow, you're going to be online learning, and you're going to be at home. That's great. Oh, yeah. So see how quick they flip?
Yeah.
They flip that quick. So,
what's really interesting, and I've written so much I really haven't shared yet, but I've been writing and meditating on this a lot about how, and I've written about it a little bit, but when people get technology, we tend to get God complexes. It's sort of like it's very hard to have especially when you or your group of people has advanced technology compared to other people you're around. And
for millennia.
Why are you laughing?
Because it's been millennia. We're like, God, you guys are just coming up with electricity, light bulbs. How many millennia have we had the light bulbs and the battery? Oh my God, apartment complexes. Oh my God, don't tell me you invented apartment complexes. Oh, what's a pueblo? Hello, wake up. Oh, what, gene splicing? Oh my God, you're in the high technology. You're gene splicing plants? GMO? Oh my God, what is a corn? What is an ear of corn? Oh wow, it was a flower. Oh, we gene spliced. Oh, we did hybrid growing. Oh my God. No, yeah.
Oh, most people don't know. Like, there is this theory that carrots should not be eaten because they've been genetically manipulated. But every type, basically every single vegetable that
has been genetically modified, naturally
manipulated and modified, every single one. And most fruits as well that we eat these days. And this has been going on for thousands of years.
Thousands of years. And they don't get it.
And
they're so smart. They're so smart. They know so much. God.
There are two, like, from my perspective, there are two animals that without we human beings wouldn't be alive. Dogs and bovines. If it were not for dogs and bovines, we would have been wiped out a long time ago. Dogs have always been our helpers. They've helped us. They're very intelligent. They've always been our protectors. They've guarded us. They've helped us to, even manage. bovines, and we've always relied on some sort of bovine for our sustenance, for hides, for bones to make into tools, of course, for the meats and the fatty meats and the organ meats. And for protection, I mean, bovines have been a source of wealth,
You,
everything.
you
And
got bees also.
what?
Bees, the pollination and,
Yeah.
just
Oh,
everything.
thank you. The bees too. I mean, actually, coming to think of it,
Everything.
everything.
Yeah, everything. We're all related. We're
We're
all
all
connected.
everything. But I brought those two things up specifically because there has been for the past few decades this movement, this new
Don't
spirit.
eat meat.
Yeah, like the vegan, which I think is a spiritual movement. I was a vegan for 9 years personally, but
Now, hold on. Let me stop you right there. So, neurolinguistics programming, brainwashing. So, I had to learn all that. I learned how to brainwash people, how to program people. Okay. Do you know the easiest person to program or hypnotize is?
the most educated.
No, yeah, but actually, a person who is a vegan or a person who does not eat meat or protein.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, why? Because their brain does not function at the higher level, that it's missing the protein to function. So it can't think as well, so they're easier to break down or manipulate and program. They're much easier to program, quicker, easier, and it stays in there longer. Somebody who eats meat constantly as a stable diet, very difficult to program. So you've heard of people that they say, okay, when I hypnotize you, and you don't feel like something's right and you wake up, okay, you got to go off the stage. Why? Because that person's not susceptible to being hypnotized.
Right.
Why? Because they got a stable diet of protein and meats and all that. So you notice people that eat a lot of meat, a stable diet of meat,
They're stuck.
they yeah, they can't be hypnotized. They can't be fooled easily. So that's why they're trying to get rid of the meat. They want to fool you. They want to program you. MK Ultra, whatever they want to do, they want to hypnotize you. They want to control your mind. They can't control a strong mind. They can only control a weaker mind. And vegans, vegan power. No, that's all. That's what they want. They're programming you to be a vegan.
So we're both in Central Texas, right?
Correct.
And it's beautiful out here. And we've got the hill country and like west. I mean, it's gorgeous.
Got the ocean.
And
We got the plains.
And I
We got
think
the desert.
this area used to be covered with buffalo.
There's still buffalo. I see them.
But I'm just saying, like before, like there used to be
thousands and thousands, yeah.
Millions, right?
Up in the panhandle mainly.
Yeah. But they would come, they would like migrate, they would come through this area too. And they would eat stuff and it would go through one end of the tube and out the other. And that was fertilizer. And the earth was, rich in nutrients and minerals. And then other life forms were able to grow. And there was this like cycle, this circle. And I grew up being taught that cattle were, devastating the environment, overgrazing of cattle, devastating the environment.
It's a lie.
It's like quite the opposite. Like we actually need more grazing animals all over the place. I mean, like
even horses.
I mean, we need more horses. We've got quite a few deer in this area, but I knew there used to be so many more. Horses, cows, sheep, bison,
Yep.
buffalo, in Africa, wildebeest, you name it, because they actually keep the earth healthy. They replenish the earth. And so there's this movement, like some people think that it's cruel to keep dogs as pets, or it's cruel.
But they've been pets for thousands of years.
I think they've been our pets for millions of years.
Well, not pets, but our partners. I have to say our
Partners,
partners.
our companions, our partners.
Yeah,
Like they,
yeah. Because I don't treat them as a pet. We all treat our canine loved ones as loved ones. They're part of the family. So once you have a canine for that long, they're not. You treat them better than you would treat your kids sometimes. You spend more at the vet than you would at the emergency room of a human hospital. So yeah, they're high up here. They're not low.
yeah. Well, they really they help us to be more human. I mean, sometimes we learn how to be more human through a relationship with a pet.
Because it's unconditional love.
Yeah. I mean, we had every one of my dogs I've ever had is very distinct personality with their very distinct habits and likes and dislikes. And, like like the one we have right now, oh my God, she's such a princess bitch. I mean, like she she's such a like I'm trying to think what personality she'd have if she was a human, like who she would be. Like she reminds me a little of olive oil, you know,
Oh God.
olive oil. Like
Try having a horse. So dog to us, a, a horse is a big dog.
oh yeah.
So they used to call the Cheyenne Indians dog soldiers. Dog soldiers? They have dogs? They're like, no, that's the horse. They can ride horses pretty good. Why? Because us Comanches taught them how to ride horses, and they get famous for it.
Yeah.
So
Oh, go ahead.
basically, basically, a dog is an equivalent age of a 7-year-old human, or understanding of a 7-year-old, or intelligence of a 7-year-old human child. And a horse has the understanding and intelligence of a 17 or 18-year-old human. And a dolphin is way more intelligent than humans. And a whale is way more intelligent than both, the dolphin and the humans.
Yeah. And
So
elephants too. Yeah.
yeah, they think we're smart. We're the smartest on the planet. No, you got dolphins and elephants that are above us. Yeah,
Yeah.
and elephants.
Yeah. Well, it's our dog. We adopted her from my late brother. But before he passed away, he asked me to watch her for about 10 days. And I was like, yeah, sure. So he brought her over and she charges in the house and she's up and down the stairs and she's all of a sudden, she's a Doberman. And I was like, oh my God, she's a horse. She acts like a horse, and she's tall and skinny, and she looks like a horse that's been shaved of its mane and tail. Otherwise, she's like very, very horse-like. And she's very smart, but very stubborn, you know.
It's a 7-year-old.
Yeah, and she's very easy to train. I mean, she catches on really, really quickly. Um, and oh, the other dog we had who passed away of old age and diabetes and stuff, he learned the word food and he learned the word feed and he learned the word eat. And so like I would say, hey, has anybody fed Tondo yet? And he'd run to his bowl. And then I'm like, okay, has Tondo eaten yet? He learned that. He'd run to his bowl. And I'm like, okay, has anybody FED Tondo? He'd run to his bowl. Okay, has anybody FED the DOG? Like, and then eventually I had to just like text my kids because if I said food, fed, eat, whatever, he was at his
Now,
bowl. And
try
then
this.
pull it out.
Try this. Try this with your dog. I've done it with several of my dogs. You have a connection with that being, and it is telepathic and emotional and a vibrational connection. They don't understand language. Like you said, they understood what I was saying, but not really. They can feel and connect with you on that vibration. So try not saying anything but thinking it. Like think if the dog's sitting in front of you, like a little bit away from you, then think, come here, and the dog will come to you. Think sit, not sit down, but sit. If the dog's well trained, just think, sit. The dog will sit. Think, get up. The dog will get up. Think, really focus.
Mhm.
Lay down. The dog will lay down. Think, shake my hand, and the dog will put his paw up to shake your hand. You're like, wow, I don't even have to talk. You understand what I'm thinking. They have that connection.
Yeah.
When they bond with you, they're telepathically or vibrationally connected to your being. That's why we treat them as family. That's why they have a deep connection with us emotionally.
Yeah.
So when you're scared, they're not scared. They get very defensive. So if
Yeah.
somebody's scaring you and you don't feel comfortable around them, they start growling and barking at them.
Yeah.
So they can feel that they're an extension of you.
And you know what? With my dog, she can be very, very annoying. I mean, like really. And
Yeah.
when she can tell I'm really annoyed with her, you know what she does? She does this. Like she'll
Wow.
look at me, like she'll feel I'm like really like, oh, I'm so you're really getting on my nerves, and then she'll look at me.
Yeah. So like for me, like let's get back to the like for me, I want to come up with solutions. Like I hear people complaining. We all understand what the problems are, but and that's all I hear is a lot of complaining. But no, I don't hear any solutions. Like what can we do? And it's like I told Versty, let it happen.
Mhm.
There's nothing you can do to talk to these people in their faces and show them. You could show them everything in the world. They're not going to accept it. You
Right.
have to let it happen so they can go, oh my God, this is not what we wanted.
And there's
Help us. They're gonna be screaming for help. Help us. This isn't what we wanted. We didn't want this. We didn't want that. We didn't want to be, hey, it's too late. This is what you're asking for.
yeah.
And that's what's happening right now. It's happening right now. People are going, what? We didn't want Biden. We didn't want this. We didn't get what we wanted. We wanted the riots to stop. No, they're not stopping. They're going to keep going. It's like you can't control the monster. So I say, let it happen. Then time it. When the time is right, you'll know. They're going to be asking for help. They're going to need our help. We're going to need leaders. We're going to need solutions. We're going to need people with the right ideas and how to fix it. So, one, my thing is get rid of all the politicians. To pole, to polarize. The North and South Pole, opposites,
Yeah.
to divide us, to pull us. That is a
Not to do with
politician,
politics. Doesn't politics
politics,
literally mean like division or
division. That's right.
and
So
yeah.
get rid of all the politicians that are there for money and a career. Get rid of everybody, Democrat, Republican, I don't care. Get rid of all of them. Start over with we the people. Who should be in Congress, the Senate, and the House? Is your neighbor, yourself, the regular people, the normal people who know nothing about politics, who know nothing about how the government runs. They will learn it as they go, but they do know what the people need and want because they are part of the people. Hey, you didn't like the way you're living. What did you want? No more taxes? Great. Get rid of taxes. Get rid of taxes, but this and that. What am I going to do? Well, let's figure it out. Let's get together and figure it out as people. So all the congressmen are the people, not politicians. They're your next door neighbor. They're your I don't know, your family members. They're regular people that don't know what you don't know either, but you get together and figure it out. That's we got to start all over fresh.
And it's
That's one solution.
actually we're doing it right now. It's really important for people from different backgrounds to just listen and talk and sort things out and come from, like, I believe it's really important to look at policies, right?
Right?
How do policies affect people? We can refer to history, right? Because there's nothing new under the sun. Refer to history and then also use our imaginations and say, if this, then that. If this, then that. Like, what does it
Right.
look like down the at the beginning, like in February, when the media said the government wants us to like stop living for 2 weeks to flatten
Hmm.
curve. I mean, I was like, I put two and two together. I was like, they're not going to give us 2 weeks. They're going to extend this for as long as possible. And they're going to be all of these deaths as
It's
a
going to be forever.
yeah.
That's what they want.
And they kept saying the new normal. And it's going to last as long as we comply. It's going to last. But what I've seen is there's this major split now where there are people who literally are living in more freedom than ever. More,
But it's more.
more.
It's more than that.
Hmm?
It's way more than that. So you see what you're seeing are people that are saying no, we're not going to do it, and they're being allowed to do that because their local government saying, yeah, we're not going to deal with that.
Right.
Okay, so when I talk to people, I think you got a mask, and I'm like, no, and they don't know what to say after that, and they're like, well, you need to wear a mask, and I go, why? You got a mask, they got a mask. Why do I need to wear one? Two, you can catch a virus through your eyes, your ears, and farts. So if you can smell a fart with that mask, what good is it? And they start laughing because I'm making a joke about it, but I'm serious because they know, yeah, you're right, and they think, oh yeah, this is dumb, but I got to have a job to support my family. I can't be without a job. And they're holding that over me, so I'm a slave. And I said, look, I'm not mad at you. I understand you got to feed your family. You need this job. And in order to have this job, you got to wear the mask.
Mhm.
I don't have to wear it. And you can't force me to wear it. I said, call the police, call them now. Or you can just ring me up and let me go on my way. The quicker I'm out of here, the quicker you don't have to deal with me. Like, okay. So it's not, I don't, it's like, and when they get into it with me, somebody really wants to get it. I say, look, I don't even let them talk. I just tell them, I'm Native American. I will not be oppressed. My people have been oppressed for centuries. I will not be oppressed. You will not oppress me by making me wear a mask. And then they freak out. They're like, oh, yeah, he's right. He's got a point. And I'm guilty. I'm a bad person if I make him wear a mask. Well, but it's contradicting because I got to make him wear a mask or else I lose my job. And they don't know what to do. It's like error, 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 and they can't think. They get schizoid. And I just go, here's the money, here's my card. Let me pay for it and get out of here. I'm not going to be oppressed. And they freak out. They're, oh, I'm racist. Oh my God. They just freak out. They freak out because I throw it back on them, the logic, and they can't fight it. So they let me go. They don't. Okay, you can't be in here. Blah blah blah. I say, oh, bunch of racists. I start using the card. I start making them feel guilty. And how obvious it is, how stupid it is. I go, hey, you're not wearing two masks. Like when they go, you need to be wearing a mask. No, it's two masks. No, wait, is it three masks? No, they're laughing at you. They're laughing at you. Pull my finger once, the shame on me. Or shame on you. Pull my finger twice, shame on me. How you making it wear two masks?
My finger twice, smell of farts.
Yeah. I tell them that. I go, pull my finger. Yeah, shame on you. Pull my finger again. Shame on me. That means they're laughing at us.
It's just, yeah, they are laughing at us. Like, is a coffee shop I go to at least once a week now. And I'm trying to think, maybe it's about 400 square feet, maybe
A small little one.
Yeah. And to order, you have to wear a mask, but then once you sit down, you take your masks off and everybody's sitting down.
Wait a minute. The virus won't get me if I wear the mask when I order, but it won't get me when I'm drinking.
Right. And it's like, and I try to explain to people the logic, and then what I get back is, well, it's really important for me to show that I care. I I'm doing this like after I go through the logic and they're like, yeah, I admit that's really silly. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I hadn't really sat to thought about it, but now that you've mentioned it, yeah, that does make sense. And then I'm like, well, you don't have to wear it anymore. And then comes in, well, I want to show that I care. I want to show that I'm a good person. What else can I
Virtue
do to
signaling.
show that I care about other people and I'm a good person? Or I don't want people to think I'm a bad person, and I don't want for somebody to die. I couldn't live with myself knowing that I'd killed somebody else. And I'm like, well, if somebody dies, they were going to die anyway, you know. Well, okay, before the COVID policies, the shutdowns, if somebody dies, it's because they were going to die anyway. You know, the common cold would have taken them out, anything, because they have,
Yeah. The flu, the cold, yeah, whatever.
you know.
The comorbidity, whatever it is.
Right. But since the coronavirus lockdowns, now we have hundreds of millions of people who are dying, not because of COVID, but because of these government policies. Now, the
Yeah.
government
The
policies,
cure is worse than the
actually
virus.
feel guilty. Wearing a mask is not, wearing a cloth mask or a surgical mask is not going to prevent you from getting coronavirus, right? It's not.
They're just not educated. They're not educated. They're very ignorant
There
people.
are doctors who are
No,
doctors.
the doctors are being held hostage. They're like, you're going to lose your medical license if you don't obey us. If you don't go by our narrative, you're out. I've seen two of them.
That's
Two
your
of them,
reputation gone. Your reputation gone. Your license to practice gone.
yep, gone.
And you're in,
You still got to pay that college tuition. Yeah, still got your loans to pay. You don't dare speak out. Two doctors spoke out that I knew personally. Their licenses are gone. They can't practice anywhere, any hospital.
your royals. I've been
Hmm?
slowly watching The Crown on Netflix, and I'm just like, man, I would hate to be a royal. Your life is not your own. If you're born into the royal family, you can't, I mean, you can do what you want, but you're going to pay a heavy, heavy, heavy price. So that's no way to live. I mean,
Right.
I don't think
A
that
gilded cage. Gilded
gilded
cage.
cage, and I think that that's how most doctors right now are living in a gilded.
Oh, they're shutting their mouths. They're not saying anything. Virologists shutting their mouths, not saying anything. In the
But how many,
beginning, they
how
told,
many get-togethers have I been to uh, in this past year with doctors? No mask, because they know.
I was the one that picked up the COVID test from all the labs in San Antonio, and I drive them to Austin CPL, the biggest lab in Texas. So I was the one handling the COVID test. I would grab that test, I would write all the information down, and then take off. Put it in a bag that's refrigerated. It's got ice packs, and store it in my truck, and collect from all the hospitals in San Antonio, and then drive it to Austin every night. Did that for 4 months. They would laugh at me when I came in there with mask and goggles and gloves, and they're like, dude, the gloves aren't going to help you. You can still touch your face with the gloves. So you just wash your hands. You just act like you like a cold or flu. It's the same. Don't touch your face. Wash your hands. Don't use too much of the, what do you call that, antiseptic or whatever that stuff is.
Yeah,
Don't use too much of that stuff because you'll ruin all the pores and the oils and all that. They said you don't need to wear a mask. You
yeah.
can't even see the virus in the electron microscope. I mean, you need an electron microscope to even barely see the virus. So an N95 mask isn't gonna. It's like a big giant fence that virus is going through. It's not stopping it in or out. It's not doing nothing to eyes, ears, nose, throat, mouth, and orifices. It's there's nothing you can do. You see us wearing like an Ebola suit? No, that's what you need to wear if you don't want to catch it. Two, everybody's going to get it. And you need the herd immunity. No matter what, everybody's going to get it, and we're just slowing it down. Everybody's going to catch it. We're just slowing it down so that we don't have spikes in the emergency room, in the ER, or in the ICU, so that we can handle it. But you're going to get it no matter what. There's nothing you can do to keep from catching it. And we caught it back in December. My daughter, my 1-year-old, and myself. We caught it back in December, and after we got it, we never got sick again with nothing.
In late January 2020.
We got sick from nothing after that. We don't have the cold, the flu, nothing. The whole year, we never got sick with anything else.
I haven't gotten sick with anything. I mean, there was one time I felt like I was coming down with something, and I don't know if it was allergies or if it was really a cold or a flu. And I just sat in an ice bath, and then that took care of it.
We were sick. We had a cold. A cold. That's what the doctor at the ER told us. We had a cold for 2 months, a little over 2 months. And when my little newborn baby was having trouble breathing, then we took him to the ER and they checked us all out. That my daughter, the baby, and myself. And they said, "You just have a cold." And I said, "That's no, no. I don't know where you got your medical degree, but a cold doesn't last 2 months." And he
Right.
goes, "Look, we checked you for strep throat, we checked you for RSV, we checked you for the flu, we checked you for everything.
Hmm.
You just have a cold. You don't even have a fever. None of you have fever. You have a cold. Just go home and take care of yourselves. You'll
Hmm.
get over it." Now, in hindsight, we're like, wow, that was coronavirus.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then we took the antibody test, we took the PCR test because my father-in-law had to go back to China, and before he could get on the plane, the whole family has to test so he can get on the plane. We test negative, but we tested positive for the antibodies. So that means our bodies have been super immune. Our,
Hmm.
our immunity system has been supercharged. So
Hmm.
we haven't gotten sick, and everybody I've talked to who's been sick, who's gotten the coronavirus a long time ago, they said the same thing. We haven't caught a cold, we haven't caught the flu,
Hmm.
and you know what? We normally get sick twice a year, 3 times a year, and none of the kids have been sick. We haven't gotten sick after the last time we got sick with the coronavirus. So that's something that's strange that I think is positive.
No,
So when they say wear a mask,
we should have a segment just strictly on this.
yeah, and they say wear a mask, and I go, I don't need to. I already went through it. I can't give it, and I can't get it, so I'm good.
Now there's this whole new, you've got mouthwash companies that are creating new formula specifically for mask mouth because now people are having all of these dental and gum problems from wearing the mask. And when you get a bacterial infection in your mouth, it can go into your blood and then it affects the heart
Yep.
and your organs. And
Ignorance.
you know, it's an
Ignorance.
endurance box. But I've noticed that this culture in maybe since the 80s, we've become divorced from myths, right? So let's say American culture, Americans would take civics classes, history
Right.
classes, and then classic Greek mythology, like read all of the classics. That's for, United States. Your culture, you learn your oral traditions, the mythologies of your people, all of that. In Lesotho, same thing. The Basotho learn their own. I guess we're in a Western world now, so everybody learns the Western stuff. And but when you, as a young person, like elementary, middle, and high school, if you have an education where you're like learning, you're reading the Iliad and the Odyssey, or
Right.
learning
Homer.
the Bible and Homer, and you're learning about Socrates and Aristotle and the Constitution and all of this, then you get an understanding of human nature. You learn how to think critically. You learn from the past. You
The
learn about
Socratic
the
method. Yeah.
Socratic method, greed, avarice, the seven deadly sins. You learn
Yeah.
all of these things about human nature, great emperors or the gods and the demigods and
They
their
don't want us to learn that.
rivalries. And then you understand human nature and you learn the archetypes. And then when these government leaders make really dumb decisions, you can go, that's stupid. That is really dumb because behind you is this wealth of knowledge. But that's been taken out of the education system because people have been trained to be like little factory workers and just like take orders. And in the meantime, artificial intelligence is becoming more human like. It'll never be human because it'll never have human
Now,
consciousness.
remember, technology is to dumb us down.
Yeah, to make us into automatons, right?
Hmm.
Order followers, we're automatons. And what they do, it's like I'll give an example of the Bible, like in Genesis, when the serpent says to Eve, oh, you know, it's not fair that God knows everything and you don't know everything God knows. Now, look, I'll give you, eat this apple and you will have all of the knowledge that God knows. And she eats the apple and she convinces Adam to eat the apple. And like we can go really deep into just that story because it's like so many
Yeah,
levels
and it's a story. And that's how they learn, is through the story.
to understand human nature, right? And And so, yeah, they eat the apple, but eating the apple, where else is that story? It's the story of Pandora, you know, Pandora's box. It's that story.
Oh, but people don't know the story
That's the thing.
because of our, like, as your culture and my culture, if it's oral teachings that you learn your history of your culture, and it's all about storytelling, we have to listen to every word of what they're saying. So Pandora's box, when you listen to that story, go ahead and tell the story. What the gist of Pandora's box? Tell the story. And abridged.
So, if I remember correctly, Pandora went into she was, oh my God. That,
Hephaestus' daughter.
yeah, and she went into the underworld and she had this box that she married the what's his name, he was the god of the underworld, and she
Hades.
married him.
Hades. Taurus.
Yeah, she married
Pluto.
him, and she was told never to open this box, like it was given to her as a gift. It was like, never under any circumstances should you ever open this box.
Because inside that box was what?
Inside that box was things that she was going to release things into the world that she will never be able to put back in.
But
Like,
what were those things? Everything in that box, everything in that box was what? Good?
no,
What were they?
all the evils, the demons.
Yes. Everything, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Everything in that box.
everything else.
And that's the main word people don't listen to. They told you everything in this box is evil. Do not open everything.
Everything.
Right. But
And
they don't listen.
and I don't remember what made her curiosity overtake her.
Yeah, she had curiosity. It's a human nature.
Yeah. And she opened the box just a little bit, and all the demons just came out, and they went all over the world, and they came
All the evils, all the plagues, all the.
everything.
But what was the last thing that hopped out of the box? The last thing.
That I don't remember.
The last thing that came out of the box was hope.
Why do I not remember that?
Well, that's the gist of the story. They say
I don't remember.
hope. Hope was the last thing that came out of the box. But
And that
Native Americans,
it's so many different ways, though.
but how do you take that? When you hear that hope was the last thing that came out of the box for mankind. Hope was the last thing that came out. What do you think about the story now?
Well, there is the possibility of redemption. There is so, but it depends on the angle you look at it. On the one hand, it's like the things that escape the box are things that you cannot control. You can't get those and put them back in the box. They're out forever. So if hope was the last thing that got out of the box, hope, like those other things, is also kind of ephemeral. It's,
So
you know what I mean? It's like,
so wait a minute. You got to go back in the story and listen to what he said. That's the way we do it. But everybody else in the world is like, oh, thank God for hope. Hope is so good. Oh my God, we got hope. And I'm like, you're stupid. You didn't listen to the story. He told you everything in that box is evil. Everything. So hope was in the box. So hope is the most evil. It's the worst. It's the first thing that was put in because it's the last thing that came out. So we listen and we go, well, the gist of the story is hope. Don't have hope. Never have hope. Have faith. Have faith. Hope is evil. I hope she falls in love with me. No, I'm crushed. Ah, crushed me. Ah.
Yeah, you got a point. Like, first of all, I don't know why I did not remember that one thing about hope. So that's one of those things. It's like, why did I not remember that?
That
And then,
was the ending of the story.
yeah, and then the other thing is like,
That was the punchline.
I hadn't, because I remember having discussions about Pandora's box and listening and reading, and why I never remembered the thing about hope like really mystifies me. But the other thing is like when you're like, yeah, hope was the last thing that came out of the box, and I'm like, yeah,
Mankind's got a
everything.
chance.
But that, like, hearing hope was the last thing that came out of the box did not make me feel like that was a good thing.
But it makes everybody else feel that.
Oh, wow, there was hope in the box. And it's like, well, even if there was hope in the box and hope was a good thing, hope is out of the box. And just like everything that left the box, you can't control it. You
Right.
can't put it back in the box. So hope is something that you cannot control either.
Just ask people without emphasizing everything. Just ask people about the story, what they remember of it, and they tell you about hope. Yeah, hope was the last thing, so we have hope. And they go, really? Really? You don't know that hope was evil? And they're like, what? No, hope's not evil. Yeah, everything in the box is evil. Where was hope? Outside of the box or inside?
Yeah.
Inside. And they start thinking. You'll see the wheels turning, and they go, oh my God, hope is evil. Yeah. But you weren't listening. You just thought hope was good because of how people talk about hope. You're
Right.
brainwashed. Just like the media
Alive.
plays with words. They omit words. They didn't say it, but you assumed it. So you assumed hope was good,
Yeah.
but they told you
But
hope was evil.
hope is, I mean, it's presented in our culture, it is presented as something that's good. Like I was thinking about
How?
Obama's campaign, hope, hope, hope.
And he's
And
telling you hope is bad. I knew that, but
like,
most people don't.
like, what's really interesting is like when it comes to politics, it's like if I'm critical of Obama, people are like, you hate Obama. And I'm like,
Oh,
no.
that guy's going to prison or he's getting kicked out of this country. Things are going to swing all the way the other way. If there's always a balance. So if everything's going this way, all bad, and everything's going downhill, and our country's going down the tubes, well, everything's going to swing back all the way the other way. So the opposite of what's happening now is going to happen.
Y-
Let
yeah,
it happen.
for me, like I'm like, I
It'll
get
balance out.
we like we're being trained to fixate on personalities. Like we're a cult of
Yeah,
personality. So people with Biden stickers like rah rah Biden, they point
tribal,
Trump followers and say, you're in a cult, look at you with your Trump stickers. And it's like,
it's
okay,
tribal,
doing the same thing. It's very
tribal.
tribal. But for me, it's not so much the politicians and their personalities, and we're being, indoctrinated into believing
And
it's
manipulated.
manipulated. It's really about the policies. That's it for me. Do these policies create prosperity? Do these policies create stability in society, or do these policies create enslavement? And do these policies destabilize? Okay, they destabilize, not good. Stabilize, that's good for us. And that's
Too
just
many lobbyists.
I am strictly, you know.
Too many lobbyists that control the politicians to do what they want, not what the people need. So we got to get rid of the lobbyists. We got to get rid of the politicians that are bought and paid for. And that's all of them. Doesn't matter what side they're on. They're all in the same, a bird with two wings, left and right. So they're all being controlled by the same bird. So that's how I look at it. It doesn't matter, Democrat or Republican, they're manipulating you to pick sides. It's the same bird. And then two, it's the lobbyists that control the bird. They're being paid and bought for. So by the lobbyists. So We need to get rid of the lobbying. We need to get rid of the politicians and start
And
fresh.
we need term limits.
Not just, yeah, we had term limits. They got rid of them.
Yeah.
We had term limits, and then it was the duty. If you took civics class, every American has a duty to sit in an office, to take office, and whether it's local or state or federal, you had to do at least 2 years minimum of running for office.
And serving. Yeah.
Yeah, and serving the public. That's right, serving your people. So that's part of being an American. But what? Nope, that's not what they say now.
Well, I remember, I don't remember where I was. I think, yeah, it was a few years ago, and I was driving through Austin with my grandmother, and I think we were listening to the news or something like that, and somebody had been murdered. And she's like, we're a big city now.
We're a big city now, right? Blood, guts, and glory.
All these sayings like, oh, now we're cooking with gas, just
Yeah.
have all these sayings, but it's like, huh, we're communists now, or we're globalists now,
Yeah.
Uh,
We've been in the New World Order. Everybody's like, oh, we got to fight the New World Order. We'll never be in the New World Order. We can't let it happen. I'm like, dude, we've been in the New World Order since the 40s and 50s. We've been in it. You've got the international banks. You've got the IMF, the International Monetary Funding. You've got the WWE. You've got the World Health Organization. You've got the
indoctrination.
Yeah, the United Nations. You got NATO. You've got all. We're global. Yeah, we're deep in the New World Order.
How to be free inside, how to be internally free. I mean, that's it for me. I'm the only person living my life, and therefore
Joy.
I'm the most important person in the world, because
Joy.
center of my world, or the world.
Joy.
Center. Exactly.
Joy. That's it. One word. Joy.
Joy. Then yeah.
Merrily, 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 life is but a dream.
So joy from joy, creativity, innovation, community, relationships, love, fun, productivity, humor.
Joy begets joy.
Yeah.
So if you're joyful, you'll attract other joyful people. And joy is creativity, because you're connected to the stream. You're connected to that stream of consciousness,
Mhm.
and that's where creativity and everything comes from.
Yeah.
Happiness, not happiness, but joy. Merry, be joyful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very simple. I think, like, oh my gosh, this last
Children know it
few years. Oh yeah.
instinctually. They know it.
Hey, want to be my friend?
That's right. Okay, I've used that. Everybody says, "Oh, you don't know racism. Oh, there's black and white and this and that." I go, "No, there's not." I said, "When you're a little kid, all little kids, do they care about what color that other kid is? No. All they care about is, will you be my friend?" And you know what hurts a kid the most? The most that'll make a kid cry is the
No.
words of, "You're not my friend.
Yeah.
You're not my friend anymore. I
Yeah.
don't want to be your friend." And then they go home and cry. "Why are you crying?" "He said he doesn't want to be my friend anymore." They didn't say he's black, he's white, he's from Asia, he's this, he's that. They don't care about color.
Yeah.
Kids are colorblind. Racism is taught, it's not inherent. So when people go, "Oh, racism is real," and I go, "No, it's not. It's an illusion. It's taught.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as racism. You can't say there's no such thing as racism. You don't know what you're talking about." I go, "Well, how come kids don't know what racism is until you teach them?"
Exactly.
And it's taught. It's not real. It's a construct.
For like coming to school here in the States, and kids would say, "You're trying to be white," and I'm like, "What?" 'Cause I was really serious about school and
Am I
studying.
bleaching my skin?
I was like, are you telling me only white people are allowed to learn? Only white people? Like learning and reading and applying yourself are all white traits. So this thought process, oh, and I gotta tell you, when I went to college in DC, so like I really learned about what it means to be a Black American when I went to college in DC. That's when I really got an education. There were Black
You know,
all over the states, huh?
you know what DC means, right?
District of Columbia.
No, dark country.
Oh, okay.
So many blacks in DC. It's dark country. That's a Richard Pryor joke.
Dark country. Oh, okay. So anyway, I went to DC, like, because I was in Austin. The Black people that I knew were basically family friends, right? I didn't really grow up, in East Austin. I didn't, all of that. So I went to DC. There were Black people from all over the world and from all over the country. And I was in all of these different groups. And I got to understand like the nuances and the differences and the regional differences and all of that. And I really appreciate that. But outside of campus, you would see these guys on their soapboxes and they were, talking about the man. And I was like,
Who's the man?
months. It took me months. I was like, the man, who's this, the man? Like, I had no idea. Like
who's Big Brother?
the man, this and the man. I'm like, the man?
Fight the power.
And everybody said it in a way that like I was so, fresh and new, and I was like such a
Stick it to the man.
Yeah, and I didn't know what they were talking about. Like I
The
had
man's holding you down.
all of that. And so, but like at that time, that sort of speech was on the fringes of Black America. It was like
Culture.
Yeah, that was fringe stuff. That was like only the crazy people talk like that or take that talk seriously. This was in the 90s, right? Early 90s. So you'd see these
The
guys.
90s? That was back in the 60s. What are you talking about? I
No,
remember that.
still in the 90s. Still in
It was
the
still going strong in the 90s. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, still in the 90s, that was considered fringe talk. But now it's being indoctrinated into everybody. Like what most Black people I knew thought was crazy talk. Now it's become institutionalized. And I'm in touch with, through my YouTube channel, I'm in touch with somebody from Ethiopia who's been in DC for about 2.5 years. And they say that now that Biden is in power, or the CCP is in total power, shall we say, and be more correct about it, there are community activists who are being paid like $3,200 a week to work part-time indoctrinating everybody into this systemic racism, fighting white supremacy, pro-division stuff, this Marxism. And so there are all these little nonprofits that are popping up all over.
Hold on. I need to connect something real quick.
Okay.
Keep talking.
So there are all of these nonprofits that are like these people, these young people, they're in their 20s, and they're being paid $3,200 a week. That's what, $6,400, that's 12,800. Oh my God. A month to indoctrinate young people into this Marxism. And the thing is, they don't even know, because Marxism hasn't been taught in the public school system.
Oh, it's been taught since the 60s.
But not what it is. It's been taught, but it's not been taught what it is.
In colleges.
Yeah.
I mean, it's out in the open in colleges. But
they're very open about it, but in
colleges, but in elementary, middle school, and high school, it's there, but in the undertow.
Exactly. They're priming they're primed
Right.
for it. And then by the time they get to college, they're very upfront about it, but then they
Right.
go to it like fish to water because it's so familiar and they don't question it. And then they get taught like the true nuts and bolts, and they're taught that it's something that's good. It's a
And
good.
that's how the Cultural Revolution happened in China, the same. And then in the end, once they had full communism, they got rid of the professors and the teachers, the
Yeah,
ones who indoctrinated them. They got rid of the police. They got rid of everybody that they used to get them there.
yeah.
And they didn't need them
I
any
mean,
longer.
I mean for black people, oh my God.
In the
Every
same way,
they're trying
same
to
way,
get rid of the farmers, they're trying to get rid of the black people, but
yeah.
they us thinking that they're trying to protect us. It's like what
No,
happened
you're
in
just
Germany, where they put Jewish people into ghettos,
right.
very oppressive way to live, right? And then they said, oh, Jewish people, let's move you out of the ghettos so that you can be off away from these people who hate you. You can live in freedom and you can practice your religion and
They
you won't be
dehumanized
harassed
them.
by the Gestapo. And, no, the Gestapo were in Germany, right?
Yeah, Germany. They dehumanized,
Yeah.
and so
And
it's easy to
they
kill
put
them.
people onto boxcars and they put them on trains out into these, isolated, little villages and on the
Oh,
outside.
those were Auschwitz. Those are camps for killing them,
And they had these
gassing them.
facades on the outside. They look like picturesque, bucolic villages with the little cottages and the flower gardens. And then once they went through those gates, it
That
was
was it.
to them, you know?
So that's what they're doing to all of us. But they, okay, so Hitler said in his Mein Kampf, he learned from the American government and how the American government did to the Indians, he's doing to the Jewish. So they were like, oh, you're brilliant for coming up with all this. And he said, no, I didn't come up with it. American government, I learned from them. They were the best at extinguishing humans.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we were the first, and then the blacks were next, and then all of Americans are going to be next. So it's just slavery. Basically, going to be free labor again
Mm-hmm.
to get what they want, riches. Not riches, because it's not about the money, it's about the control and power. And so that's where I'm at. And when you know this, it's hard to live in that I don't know what to call it. Just you can not unsee it once you see it.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no coming back. And you can see all these people that are brainwashed. They're wearing the mask while they're driving. I'm like, dude, you're alone in a car wearing a mask. You're so brainwashed. And they don't get it. They'll never get it. And you're the one who's bad. And I accept it. I just say, yeah, I'm the bad guy. I'm like Scarface. I said, see, everybody's looking at me and they're saying, there's the bad guy. So I go, yep, I'm the bad guy.
You're free as God intended you to be. I mean, you know, God, our maker, whatever you want to call God, made us perfect, right?
The creator.
The creator made us perfect.
We are the creator.
So resilient. There's no such thing as a virus that can truly wipe humanity out.
I
Never.
just made us stronger.
Every time. Every time.
Nietzsche said it. Nietzsche is what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So it
So,
didn't kill us, and we're stronger. Immune systems are a lot stronger.
so my son yesterday, he laughingly told me that he saw a video of Bill Gates being interviewed. It's a new video where Bill Gates was talking about the Spanish flu,
Open,
and how the
open.
people died from the Spanish flu because the virus, their immune system is
Snowing.
too strong.
Hey, my wife just came in the room and said it's snowing. It
Yeah,
just in
yeah.
San Antonio. No, it didn't snow yet. So it's
Oh,
snowing now.
okay. Yeah, it's been snowing here in Austin since this afternoon.
Not in San Antonio. It just happened.
Oh,
So
okay.
my daughter's excited. It's like, oh my God, it's snowing. Oh wow, the whole front is covered.
This is our second snow in Austin.
Oh my God, it's a lot of snow. You can build snowmen here.
I don't know it's sticky or not.
That's awesome. So,
Yeah.
oh, my wife doesn't want to be seen.
Oh,
Hurry
look
up.
here.
Hurry up. Come on. Look, I'll show you. Look. You want to go outside?
It's cold. Baby's sleeping. You should go outside.
Okay, have Mia go outside and play.
Yeah.
I gotta make. Oh, the truck is covered.
It's thick. I told you. It's
Tell-
big snow. Yeah.
Go have her wear something warm and go outside. She's got her rain boots. She's got to wear boots. Her rain boots that I got her. No, I told her to take them out. Go ahead. She can have fun.
Are you done?
I'm almost done.
Somebody need wash your baby. Let her go outside with him.
Bring him in here. I'll hold him.
Sleeping.
Oh God. Okay.
I'll wait for you.
Okay.
Hurry.
Go ahead. She can go outside by herself. She's just in the front.
I want a picture for her.
Okay.
The baby's just
Wake him up.
No. Baby is sleeping.
Yeah, she's like, baby's sleeping. But our little one, our 9-year-old is like, oh, it's snowing.
So
Yeah.
exciting.
It's funny. I need to keep her in the mode that she's in, because she's very connected to the creator or to the stream. We're all the creator. We're all God, or what people say, the word God. I don't like using a word. God is just a word. You cannot put a label on it. You cannot box it, put it in a box. It's the mystery. That's why we say it's the great mystery.
Mhm.
You can say consciousness or the stream or everything, but basically she's connected to that directly, as all children are, but at an older age she's still connected. So I came here first for 6 months to get everything situated, to get a house, to get a job, to get a vehicle, all that stuff, and then bring them over. So while they sold all our stuff in our apartment and they sold all our belongings that we don't need, and then they would come over. My daughter was 3 at the time, and my wife. So the Chinese government would not let my daughter board the airplane, but my wife could, because she had a visa. And they said, no, your daughter is Chinese because she was born in China. So even though she's got an American passport, she's got an American social security number, she's all everything you can prove with documents she's American, but no documents saying she's Chinese. Because she was born in China, they won't let her get on the plane. And so they had to stay for 6 months. And then, well, I got everything situated here. Then when they came over, on the way over, we had to do a workaround. We had to fool the government. So we snuck her out, basically. We said, okay, we got the document saying she's Chinese. We got a visa for her to come to not a visa. We didn't need to get a visa. All Chinese citizens can go to Hong Kong for 7 days with no visa. So she's a Chinese citizen, my daughter, by their standards. So her and my wife crossed the border to Hong Kong, like we always do. We always used to go to Hong Kong every weekend. We lived in Shenzhen, so we go back and forth to the border. And so Hong Kong is different from mainland China. They don't consider themselves Chinese. They're Hong Kongese. So the police there and immigration were like, we don't care what the Chinese say or think. She's an American. You show me that book, that passport, American passport, she's an American. So we crossed the border, or my wife and her crossed the border as Chinese citizen, as a Chinese citizen. And then they got tickets. Yeah, they got tickets as a U.S. citizen to go to Japan. Now, while in Japan, they had to wait a long time for the next flight to America, to Chicago. And she had, my daughter said, oh, Mama, I wish that you win. Like, she's thinking, you're going to win this money. There was like some kind of contest. You win $10,000 or something, right? But you have to spend it at the airport, where you buy everything, all the shops, but it's a contest. And she goes, Mama, you're going to win. You're going to win. So she picked the numbers, my daughter. She wrote the numbers down. And then my wife turned it in and bam, they won. And I was like, oh my God, she picked the numbers and then won 10,000. I go, where's the money? She goes, we can't take it. You have to spend it. So I bought all this stuff. So she bought a bunch of 10,000 worth of stuff. Like, okay, cool. That's fine. She won. That's awesome. Then she got here to Texas. And in San Antonio, Texas, it doesn't snow. It hadn't snowed like 5 years ago. It hadn't snowed for 33 years. Because the
Mhm.
last time it snowed in the 80s, 85, 86, something like that. And I
Mhm.
remembered it. That snow was up to my knees. It snowed big time. I said, honey, it rarely snows. And the snow, it'll be in the air, but it won't touch the ground.
Right.
And we call that snow, but it's not real.
Yeah.
So it hasn't snowed. And she goes, no, it's going to snow. It's going to snow. I wish it's going to snow. It's going to snow. It's going to snow. It's going to snow because I'm here. Okay, wish all you want. It's San Antonio. It's not going to snow. Sure enough, that year, blizzard. I mean, it came down like that was like 4 or 5 years ago. It came down like a blizzard, hardcore. So I was like, wow, she won 10,000. Then it snowed because she wanted it to snow.
Can I borrow her?
Told
Or
you.
just
And then, oh, it doesn't stop there. For 2 years, she kept bugging me every day, me and my wife. I want a baby brother. I want a baby brother. I want a baby every day, all day. I want a baby brother. I want a baby brother. Papa, I want a baby brother. Mama, I want a baby brother. Oh, then, yeah, she got pregnant. And you can't pick and choose if it's a boy or a girl. So we had a baby brother. And I go, you wished him here. You better take care of him. He's your baby brother, and you made him come here. So he's here because of you. And sure enough, they have a great connection since he was a baby. I mean, instant connection. And then next, she goes, it's going to snow this year, Papa. It's going to snow. I said, no, it's not going to snow. It's been too hot this whole winter. Nope. Bam. It snows big time, not little bit, big time. So I'm like, honey, what are the Powerball numbers? Papa needs the Powerball numbers. Write them down. So that's where we at. I got to go because she wants to go out and play, but we got to have another get together. And I
Yeah.
hope we can get other people from other, I got a guy that I'm in contact with. It's called CRS Firearms. His name's Matt. Great guy, great personality. Um, he would be like the epitome of what the left is. He's a two-way gun guy, and he owns a gun store. He sells guns and ammunition and stuff, and he teaches people all about guns and rifles and how to build them and everything. And he's got ADDH, and he's successful where people say you're not going to be successful because of your victimization of you've got this problem, you'll never make it. And
Right.
he's great. I mean, he's successful. He making money and he's supporting his family, and he's doing it. And this guy is everything that our people should, whether it's Indian or blacks or whatever, are supposed to despise. He's the white supremacist. He's the boogeyman, all that, the country hick, whatever. No, he's not. He's not what we despise. He's one of us.
Mhm.
And he's in the same boat we're in. And we need to show the media, we need to show the people, hey, we can discuss and get together with people like him, and we can agree on a lot of things, and we're in the same boat. So it's not what they're telling you,
Yeah.
it's not true. And we can get his platform going with our platform and educate our people, because the Ku Klux Klan were for what? To intimidate blacks from gun ownership. That was the first gun control, was to keep black African Americans from owning guns. And that's from the Democratic Party, not the Republican Party. Republican Party, who was in the Republican Party? The first members of the Republican Party were blacks. They formed the Republican Party,
Yeah.
blacks. And then Martin Luther King was in the Republican Party. So
Mhm.
I don't know what these people are doing. You know what I mean? They're Democrats. Why? That the Democrats are the head of the Ku Klux Klan. They came up with the Ku Klux Klan.
Don't know. It's just, and that is one of the reasons
It's
why
that
the
manipulation.
education system doesn't teach history, because they don't want us to know this.
They don't want them to know it, even though they know it. It's in their face. People tell
Coronavirus,
them.
these people with this coronavirus,
I'm
they're
coming.
telling
Hold on.
everybody that we're all bioweapons, so we fear and hate each other. It's the same thing.
And they want blacks to hate each other just like they made the Indians hate themselves.
Yeah.
It's same thing. Same thing that happened with us. Always remember, whatever happened to us first, that's what's going to happen to you next, and then to the rest of the people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well,
I got to go.
I know you got to go. I want to talk about coherence the next one. I'm going to go in depth with it, about it with you, but go out, enjoy the snow, take
Yes.
videos, pictures, just revel in it. I don't know how big the snow is out
A lot.
right now. I wouldn't
There's
be
a lot of snow out there. A lot. So my daughter is like, come on, Papa, let's go.
So much for global warming. So much for global
What?
warming.
What? That's called weather. We call that weather in my culture.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do to this earth. It will heal itself. Just like you get a cut, you automatically heal yourself. The earth is the same way. Whatever happens to us happens to the earth.
Exactly.
So the earth gets messed up, it heals itself. But nah, they think they're smarter than us.
Yeah.
All right, you take care.
You too.
Oishtahe, atanahe, yatahe. Take care.
Salang hantle. You too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.